You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is U.S. Congressman Ed Case. Congressman Case is currently running for the United States Senate seat in the next election. So, Congressman Case, where do you come from? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born and raised in Hilo, in the territory of Hawaii. I was born 53 years ago in 1952, and I had a fantastic upbringing on the Big Island all the way through age 18. I went through the public schools in Hilo through 7th grade or to 7th grade, Keaukaha Elementary School and Waikeakai Elementary School right in Hilo in the 1950s and the 1960s. And then I went to high school at Hawaii Prep Academy in Kamoela in Waimea on the Big Island and graduated from there in 1970. So I spent, where I came from was the Big Island, and that's really where my heart still lies, is out there in Hilo.
How was it growing up on the Big Island being, Caucasian? Did they have Kill Holiday and stuff like that?
Sure did.
Did you survive? I mean, you obviously survived.
Well,
so what was that like?
Not only did I survive, I prospered. It's a very interesting question to ask of somebody like me, and your readers, your listeners can't see it, but not only am I haole, but I look pretty darn haole. So there's no mistaking that I'm your classic haole boy, and I think
you don't sound totally haole though. You have.
Well, that's my upbringing. I mean, when I went to my friends, growing up were not haole. My friends were all over the map. I mean, I went to Waikeakai just as an example. Now, I haven't gone back to really guess at this, but I would guess that in Waikeakai, growing up there and going to school there, perhaps 50% of Waikeakai was AJA, Americans of Japanese ancestry. Perhaps 20% were Filipino. Perhaps 10% were Chinese, perhaps 10% were Native Hawaiian, perhaps another percent were some of the others, and then, maybe 3% was haole. Now, when I went to Keaukaha, which was in the Hawaiian homestead, Keaukaha Hawaiian homestead, 95% Native Hawaiian, and, a couple of Japanese, a couple of Chinese, one or two haoles. I think it was only haole in my class. Now, I didn't think about that then. My best friends were Hawaiian. My best friends were Japanese. My best friends were, Filipino. So I didn't think like that in those terms. And yet, looking back on it, it was a fascinating way to grow up. And I think it kind of creates a little bit of a hybrid.
What'd you learn from that? I mean, what's the maybe most fondest memory that you kind of take and use it as life experience or lesson?
Well, it seems quaint to say, but you certainly learn tolerance. You certainly learn to look back past ethnic differences and racial differences. You certainly, and to this day, I really don't think much about it. I mean, I think we're all conscious. We can always describe somebody from an ethnic perspective, kind of in Hawaii, but it's not the way that I think. The mainland is much more conscious of that even to this day. But here in Hawaii, you just kind of move on. So I think I just learned. Kind of just by living, that there was a better way of living than what was going on certainly in those days and still is going on in the rest of this country. So my wife, who's AJA, tells me, Ed, sometimes she tells me, Ed, your problem is that lots of people look at you as a haole, but you don't think of yourself as a haole. And so therefore, sometimes you don't always understand what they're saying to you and the way they're viewing you. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Somebody else once described me as haole trapped in a local body, or something like that. Or local trapped in a haole body. I guess that was it. Maybe there's something to that,
So growing up, what was it that you thought you were going to do? You're in Hilo. It's, relatively a small town, big on the Big Island. But, what were your dreams? What did you think you would be doing?
I don't remember having any dreams growing up on the Big Island. And, sometimes people look at a U.S. congressman or somebody running for the United States Senate as I am, and you think to yourself, boy, that person must have always wanted to be a U.S. senator. And for many of them, it is actually true. It was simply not the way that life turned out for me. I was pretty happy-go-lucky. I mean, I knew I had a feeling that I would, come back to Hawaii eventually. I wanted to go out and see the rest of the world. I did go out and see the rest of the world. I traveled the world. I went to school on the mainland. I had some pretty incredible backpacking trips along the way where I just kind of went real low budget out there and saw the world. And the fluke for me really happened after I graduated from college. And frankly, I graduated from college. I was on the East Coast. I said to myself, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? All my friends were going to, law school or going and working on Wall Street or whatever. And I said, I really don't want to do that. I'm not ready to go home yet. So I saw this poster on the college counseling board said summer internships in Washington, D.C. And I thought, oh, that'd be a good way to kill a few months, go down and live in Washington and go to work for one of the members of Congress from Hawaii. I had some intrigue with politics. I don't know where that came from. And so I went down there and it changed my life. And that's basically when I got on this path, but not until age 22.